So in November of 2018, the American College of Physicians published a statement about firearm violence. They declared firearm violence to be an important public health problem that all physicians should pay attention to. Soon after that, the National Rifle Association, I think, made a large mistake, which was to criticize physicians and say physicians should stay in their lane.
So after the NRA published their response, doctors started getting involved because they realized that the NRA was trying to silence them and that the fight for gun violence was something that doctors had to take a stance on. So #ThisIsOurLane became more of a national movement amongst doctors and medical professionals.
The conversation about gun violence is a conversation for everybody. It's so important that we all are invested in the safety of our communities. As a law enforcement official, I have been to way too many calls and way too many incidents where people are suffering because family members have been the victims of gun violence. It's sad and it's tragic, and it's something I hope that no one ever has to experience.
We did just get the news that he was one of the 11 that were killed last night. His name was Cody Kaufman, my firstborn son.
So as chair of the House Judiciary Committee and then of the Senate Law and Justice Committee, I have heard literally hundreds of people telling me about their stories of how they've been affected by gun violence. Desperate stories of families that are beaten down by suicide, people who have been a part of criminal gun violence.
My wife escorted our son to an all-ages show at the Crocodile Cafe. There was a drive-by shooting, and bullets entered the venue, one of which entered my wife's back and exited her front. Being panicked, my son was separated from his mother, and he was escorted by adults to find his mom on the floor of the venue, fighting for her life.
We've been trained to be prepared to see dead bodies. I've had students ask me if their friends are shot, if they should stay or leave them. And I've had students ask me that if I'm shot, can they take the keys off my neck? And that's just not the environment that teaching should be, but it's become a very normalized part of it.
You normalize it because it's a normal part of your existence. A lot of my friends have been to the penitentiary or killed. I've been to many funerals out here in the streets growing up, and if you didn't have a gun, you were a victim or you were a potential victim.
It's both heartbreaking but necessary that the Jewish community has become accustomed to our houses of worship and our community centers, a feeling of being armed fortresses. It's not something that we want. We'd love our communities to feel open and to not feel besieged, but that's not the nation we live in, that's not the time we live in.
I want gun control, and I hope to God nobody else sends me any more prayers.
No words. To be a mother and to fear for your children's safety when they go to a nightclub, when they go to a bar at night, when they go to school. There's no words. How do you live your life in this country when you fear for your children's safety?
It's not just my personal experience and what my wife has been through, our whole family, what they've been through. As a parent, I don't think it's okay that our kids are participating in drills to prepare them for an active shooter. That's just not the world that I want my kids to grow up in. I don't think that's what this country wants our kids to have to experience as a way of life.
This is only a drill. He is holding a fake gun.
Over there, let's go.
It changes the way that I am in any public space. When I'm in a movie theater, when I'm at a stadium, it has changed the way that I operate every day. And it's changed my profession. There are days that it's hard to take my kids to the crosswalk and give them a hug before school. Because I think, don't let this be the day that something happens at your school or something happens at my school.
We have to start addressing the deeper rooted issues that revolve around gun violence. If we were able to love on our young people a little more, no matter what race, creed, education status, economic status, all start coming together and saying, we're gonna give them opportunities and we're gonna work together to do it.
The way that the political system will respond is when people who are elected realize that they will pay a political price for not doing the right thing. We've started to change that equation in Washington State. we need to lead the country. But I think it's a matter of being involved, stepping up and saying that this is your number one voting issue, and then I think the politicians will respond.
We have to prove to our legislators, our leaders, that there is a higher price to pay to ignore this epidemic. That's going to be what it takes to change the situation and to change the very nature of our society. This is my lane.
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 This is my lane.